everybody. Welcome to Narrative Live on a Friday. It's the after show. You made it here, after all. There's a little box there that may include LB. She's on the chat today, but she can't be on the show proper, but she'll may pop in from time to time. So she'll be chatting to you on the chat rooms. Feel free to expound on anything we're saying tonight. The lovely Nina Burleigh is here. How are you, Nina? I'm
good. I think I'm on tape delay.
I think everything feels a little tape delayed today. I'm not sure what's going on with all the audio and stuff, but I'm hoping it's okay. If it's not okay, let us know in the chats and we'll try to fix this as we go along. Eric, how are you doing?
I am acceptable.
Acceptable. And Greg Olear, how are you?
I'm good. You know, there's been a little bit of news in the last half an hour that has brightened our day.
It's such good timing. They do this for us, you know. I'm sure they time it for us. So we have big news on the SCOTUS decision. Greg, do you want to explain what happened?
Oh, we're talking about the SCOTUS decision. I was talking about my fantasy football team.
Oh, yeah. Well, there's big news on that, too. But we'll hold on that for now.
Cam Akers, man. Yeah. First round of the playoffs. It's all good.
Someone has to explain fantasy football to me one day.
And we're going to talk about this in depth, I think, later on in the show. But the big news is that this bullshit suit brought by the state of Texas and signed on by every trader in every state in the union, the Supreme Court basically told them all to go pound sand. So that's over. It's done. It was unanimous. And that's it. The bullshit, which we've been saying all along, this stuff was bullshit. But people are freaked out by it because, you know, there's always the chance that something might happen. Right. We've been down this road before where we're gaming out these scenarios where, well, if this happens and then it activates the tra-la-la and then it goes into the House of Representatives and then Jim Jordan becomes president for an hour until he can decide who to name. I don't even know what the rules are. None of that stuff is going to happen. Joe Biden going to be the president on January 20th. It is we're past the safe harbor thing, whatever that means. I don't even know what it means. I don't want to know what it means. It means the electoral votes are in. Everything's been certified. This is over, man. We're just, you know, it's over. It's go time.
It is over.
It's all over with a long grip.
We do still have a vote, right? We still have to get to the to actually electoral college, right? So that's still a thing that happens. But, you know, we'll likely get there. So, Greg, you've been the voice of reason, I should say, throughout all of this. You've calmed me down a lot. I'm sure you've calmed everybody down. But throughout every single one of these little, high points of tension, you've been the calm of reason, the voice of reason. You've been the person who's saying, don't worry, guys, it's okay. It's okay. So thank you for that. And you were right.
You're welcome.
You were right. And we are going to spend a lot of time on the show talking a lot about the people behind this case, because it's kind of amazing that they put out this whole court case. They make themselves publicly known. And as it turns out, it reveals a whole bunch of corruption behind both the AG and various other people in Texas in particular. And they're all basically looking for a pardon, because that's about the only thing Donald Trump is useful for these days in his banana republic, or his last days of the banana republic. He really is, he's got people lining up, begging him for pardons. So they'll do anything for him for those pardons. And one of them is the Attorney General for Texas, who brought this case. Nina's disappeared. I'm not sure what happened to her. But Eric, while we find Nina, why don't you tell us a little bit about Mr. Paxton and his incredible journey to the Supreme Court?
Well, to build on Greg Olear's story about the terrors facing the United States, it's a lawsuit from a Texas attorney general who himself, when he took office, was facing 99 years in prison already when he started. 99
years. That's shocking. Now, for what, by the way?
Well, a tan suit. Apparently, he wore a tan suit at one point.
It was securities fraud, right? Amongst other things, I think.
Yeah, and there were state charges, too. And now he's compounded so many frauds upon frauds. And I looked up, so when did this happen? 2015. Half a decade ago, this guy was up for a century in prison, and he is the lead law enforcement officer in Texas, where Elon Musk says he's moving, and then Larry Ellison from Oracle says he's going to move from Silicon Valley to Texas. I wonder, just spitballing here, if Xavier Becerra in California as an attorney general, or whoever succeeds him, is perhaps not preferable to the guy who is beholden to the Russian mob, president who is due 100 years in prison if this doesn't work out well. I'm wondering if that has anything to do with it. I don't know.
Possible,
but
it's quite possible. This is the guy. This is Mr. Paxton.
This is our man.
Look at
Now
him.
Ken. So
he got to be
Ken
AG for 5 years while still having all these charges against him.
That's right, and not only that, in 2017, he got additional bribery charges, and now he's under investigation for the bribery, about the corruption, about the bribery, the corruption.
Wow.
Also, he got this guy Nate Paul, who's a real estate investor, because you got to have real estate.
Got to have it
here.
Let me show you Nate Paul. Here he is for you. This is Mr. Nate Paul.
There's our man. He's self-made billionaire by 35 or something.
But he wants to be. He said he wants to be.
You were like $500 million, and I was slacking. I was at like 300.
I mean, I was only $500 million because my net worth went down when the market crashed.
Well, I took 14 years off as a salsa bass player. That's what I did. But this dude, he did the work. So CEO.
So he
world
claims.
class.
So he claims. We'll see later on. Maybe he didn't.
Well, so he's the guy that apparently Paxton. I love this. I love this so much. Ken Paxton apparently instructed prosecutors to send like 39 subpoenas to the U.S. Attorney's Office that was investigating this guy, because nothing says I would like a pre-dawn raid from the FBI like sending frivolous subpoenas to federal prosecutors in your district. That's just, I'm bored. I want friends. I would like the FBI to visit me prior to coffee.
And the FBI visited him on Wednesday, right? They arrived and handed over some subpoenas for things.
They're going to be visiting a lot of people in Texas coming up. They do everything bigger, including their RICO conspiracies.
But the amazing thing about Mr. Paxton is he's got this, seven of his deputies signed this letter saying the guy is completely corrupt. He's completely taking bribes from Mr. Paul or whomever else. And this is the people who work for him. These are the people who used to work for him. Now many of them have been fired.
This letter is the cleanest thing I found about this guy.
Yeah.
That's the thing.
Wow.
We started at federal indictments, and then we just started digging into the core of the bedrock. We're just going.
So this guy's in so much trouble that basically you think he did all this just to get the pardon?
Well, who can know what's in the heart of different human beings?
Right.
I mean, what makes one try to seditious? What makes Texas try to get rid of the 10th Amendment, when you're an attorney who's been to law school? I'm but a meager French major, but I don't know how I would go about trying to get rid of the 10th Amendment, or if I'd attempt it. Anyhow, he must know better. But I think the century in prison might have an effect. What do you guys think?
Maybe they can't count that high. Maybe they can't count to 10, and they only figure the first 9. Is what. Hey, Zev, it just occurred to me. Can you put that Nate, whatever his name is, back on the screen for a second?
Of course. Here we go. Here's Nate. There you go.
He looks like if he had a thicker beard and the proper gear on his head, he looks like MBS, I think a little bit.
Well, it's interesting. That is interesting. Could look like that. He comes from India, I think. That's his origins. And he claims to be 33, which I find hard to believe in that picture. But, that's just, could be. It's really for photoshopped anyhow.
Lived a hard life.
Yeah. I mean, this guy has quite the business.
He moisturizes.
He has a ton of nightclubs in Austin where there's live music venues. There's one nightclub that he has a giant pool on the roof. And he invites all these rich and fabulous friends over for private parties there, which also strikes me as an interesting place to collect compromat if you were ever interested in doing such a thing. This is how he's been able to expand his property empire into becoming quite a big shot in Texas, where he's one of the few almost billionaires. He's an almost billionaire. I don't think he is quite one, but he rubs shoulders with people who are billionaires, mostly these guys. Let me put this up at a full screen so you can see who they are. So the guy on the left, the richest, I think, African-American in the world. Let me just figure this out quickly. Sorry. Let's do it this way. So that's him, Robert F. Smith. He runs Vista Equity, or at least he founded Vista Equity. He's worth a phenomenal $5 billion, according to Forbes at some point. Maybe that's gone down a little bit. Now, just in October, the DOJ and the IRS came over saying, you owe us $140 million because you were helping hide another billionaire's billions. And so you're going to pay us that $140 million. And he did. He paid the $140 million. He didn't get prosecuted because they needed his help in some additional prosecutions, which apparently he's been offering. It's interesting, right? So that happened just in October. So that's interesting. And Nate and Robert Smith, they go back a way too. Now, the president of Vista is a guy named Brian. I'm going to mess up his name, but I think it's Sneth. And he's been the president since 2000. So he grew up with Robert Smith in that company. He resigned on Wednesday. From everything, really everything that you can imagine. He's no longer in the employ of any major corporation, and he's worth $2.3 billion. So he's got a few of them. And interestingly enough, he comes from the esteemed Deutsche Morgan Grenfell. That was his previous job, which, as you know, from watching this show, that's a pretty interesting place too. So this looks like more than just Nate Paul getting in trouble. This looks like maybe Nate Paul, Robert Smith, Brian Sneth, and maybe the entire Vista equity company maybe in a bit of trouble regarding whatever is going on in Texas. So I found all of that really interesting new information. Any thoughts from you guys?
I think they're starting to organize their crimes. LB's not here. I had to say that.
Sounds like the mob.
That was a good LB, actually. Now that
But I mean, let's be honest. I mean, this looks like another organized criminal ring that has got their claws into justice, and the attorney general there obviously is on their payroll if he's doing everything he's doing for Mr. Paul.
I mean, Smith, I believe, is the same gentleman who owned BET, right? And then the Charlotte Bobcats, the NBA Johnson franchise. Oh, that's Johnson.
He owns a lot. I mean, I went through all his stuff today. Like, he owns a ton.
I was going by Bob because the Bobcats were called Bob. Good.
I mean, he seems like a good guy. He does a lot. He does a lot for charity. He does a lot of good things. But in this case, I think he might have got caught up into something very illegal. I'm leaving it open there. Anybody?
Well, he didn't just give to Ken Paxton. He also gave to John Cornyn. I think quite a few folks in Texas. Look, here's the thing. Why are all these dudes filing the dumbest lawsuits in history? They're smart enough to become attorney general of states, one of 50 jobs in this gigantic empire. Why are they this stupid up here? It's not because they're stupid necessarily.
No.
Reckless, foolhardy, perhaps. Very moneyed interests tried to overthrow democracy. And they may have had to start a little early with Donald Trump, earlier than they wanted. And now they all look kind of stupid. And a bunch of other people took liberties in 2017 and 18. Because remember that bribery thing with Elliot Brody came out? That wasn't 2019. Right. Everyone's like, oh, the pardon scandal. Maybe that's Parnas. No, it's somebody you never heard of. And it was from the first year of this presidency. A bunch of people acted the fool. They thought, oh, it's go time. We get to run everything with our money and stuff. And, they jumped the gun a little bit. And, these are the people left to clean up. And they're like, I know, we'll have Texas sue Pennsylvania. Even though we've been to law school and neither of those are parties that can sue each other. And the Supreme Court is the last place to take that case. I mean,
it sounds like they'd be forced to, right? I mean, it almost sounds like there's a gun to their head saying, you guys have to do this or, your entire empire gets collapsed. It feels to me like there's an element of pressure that's probably quite big.
Hold on, you do. Let's get something straight here. You do business with organized crime, not corrupt people, not people that are mean, not people who are cutthroat business people who get things done, but real organized crime for one. Russian organized crime, which is organized crime without the cuteness and the love of spaghetti, right?
Without the style, really.
Read Red Mafia and how when they rolled the 5 families, guys that were already not Montessori school teachers, right? The Bananos, the Gambino, boom. Thank you. Robert Freeman. Put a statue up to him somewhere, and also one of the greatest forecasts in the history of futurism. He's talking about how did the Russian mafia solve problems? By strapping you to a fan over the ceiling and then taking drywall knives to you in front of your boys. That's how they roll people. That when you do business with people like that, yeah, you have a gun to your head, or you have worse.
Yeah,
that's gun to your head's quick. And we we don't like talking all ugly here, but this is what happened to America. This is what happens when you deal with, it's one thing, that song, damn, it feels good to be a gangster. Damn, it feels something else to be in debt to gangsters who want their money and they want what they paid for when they bought you, because that involves drywall knives and it's ugly. And that's where we're at.
It is where we're at. Now, do you guys know the Texas? Go ahead, Dina. Go ahead.
Am I still on tape delay?
What does that mean? No, because you look great and you sound great. So there you go. I don't see you on tape delay.
But does that explain the Jim Jordans and then Devin Nunes's and so on, Eric? I mean, are those guys actually acting out of terror, or are they thinking, well, we might have some more power here if we maintain this? Power or terror?
I mean, look at
I don't know. I think these men were they were selected for being stupid. And that's not me throwing shade.
What about Congress? What about people on the Hill?
I was preparing to talk about that. Should we go to that now or should we wait?
Yeah, go for it. Go for it. Why not? Okay,
so again, with this Texas versus Pennsylvania lawsuit, however many state AGs signed on to it. And then last night it was 106 members of Congress, and today more signed on to it. And again, this is a bogus thing. It's sedition. There's a better case to be made that them signing this is sedition than there is that Texas owes anything to Pennsylvania or whatever. Right. So I looked at the names on the list of the House people that signed it. And I want to read a couple of them because we have to start talking about these guys. They are traitors. Okay. Why are they traitors? Why? We have to start asking this question. What are they hiding? It's not all the same. Not everybody's in it for the same reasons. I'm just going to pull out a few of the names that leapt off the page to me. Kevin McCarthy, okay, he was there with Paul Ryan getting secretly taped talking about, Russia owns Trump and Russia pays Trump and Russia pays Dana. Don't say anything. It's all in the family. That guy's bought and sold. He knows things he shouldn't know. Another name on that list, Kathy McMorris Rogers, was also part of that secretly recorded conversation. Okay, this was a while ago. This was before the election. Right. These fuckers knew exactly what they were getting into, and they pretend that they don't. They knew it was about Ukraine, okay, and they knew that Russia was fucking around. Did they stop it? No, they didn't, because they wanted to stay in power, as Nina said. Okay, Steve Scalise, the guy got shot, near-death experience. Usually in the movies, you wake up from the near-death experience and you're changed in some fundamental way. This bullet made him into more of a fucking asshole. Okay? I don't know what was in there. I don't know if it went to his head or what, but that guy is irredeemable, whatever they have on him. Jim Jordan, okay, can we talk about how the pedophiles there a little bit?
Yeah.
Dennis Hastert was the speaker, the Republican Speaker of the House for years, he was a pedophile. He was arrested for pedophilia, okay? People knew about this shit and they let it go. They let it slide. Jim Jordan knew damn well what was happening when he was the little wrestling coach's assistant or whatever he was. He hid in the shower as this coach molested all of these young men, okay? He sat there in the shower. Maybe he was doing something in the shower that men do sometimes in the shower when they're aroused. I don't know. It's weird that he was in the shower. The guy is a fucking psychopath. There's something wrong with him, fundamentally, okay? And we pretend that he's like, because he got elected in some gerrymandered district, that he is owed some respect. He is an enabler of pedophiles. He's an enabler of people that molested serially young men. Fuck that guy, okay? That's Jim Jordan. Doug Collins made a poster and took all the people that Mueller said were bad and put his face with them as if this was some good thing. I don't know.
Oops.
what his I think he might be so fucking stupid that he doesn't understand what he's doing. But you don't put your face on a poster with a bunch of felons and traitors to the country. That's not what you do. Dan Crenshaw, made famous by poor Pete Davidson on SNL. Oh God. In the land of the blind, the one-eyed man is a traitor. That's all I have to say about that stupid motherfucker. Okay. Did you see the video of him jumping out of his airplane and this and that? The guy, now it comes out that he's involved with something where he's being bad to this woman that's on the thing. Bad
really?
dude. Matt, how do you say his name? Gates?
Gates. I think it's Gates.
Gates?
Prison bait.
Yeah. I don't know what's going on with Nestor or with the DWIs or with the college roommate. There's a lot of smoke.
It's his son. It's not a college roommate.
Okay.
It's his son.
Yeah, whatever.
That's what he claims.
No, the college roommate is a different story.
Oh, okay. So
I do know that these guys went into a skiff. They broached a skiff for a publicity stunt to have a fucking pizza party, and nothing was done. There was no consequence to that. The guard at the skiff should have detained them. When they started walking, they should at least have been physically not allowed to enter. We keep doing this. We keep letting these people get away with it. And then we wind up with them attaching their name to goddamn sedition. Maybe if they had tried to breach the skiff and the guard in the skiff just took the musket and just went bam and broke one of their jaws. I know they wanted that on the TV. Maybe they wouldn't have entered the skiff and maybe they would have been scared. Maybe if the House had done the inherent contempt and found some of these people in contempt and actually there was some consequence to when they don't yield to the subpoenas, we wouldn't be in this position right now. Moving on, Greg Gianforte of Montana. He's the guy that beat up the journalist. Yeah, good guy, right? Louis Gomer.
And now he's governor. Now he's governor of the state of Montana.
Governor. He is? Oh, wow.
So, I mean, yes, you have to. I mean, Greg, you have to. You're reeling off these names and you're reeling off their miscreancy, but you have to remember they're being elected by Americans. Our fellow Americans are putting Greg Gianforte, who body slammed a Guardian journalist for asking him about health care. They're putting him in the governor's office to replace Steve Bullock, I think. Bullock was terrific.
Wow. What a big change. But this is what happens when you have a banana republic. This is when you have a criminal in charge. They elevate other criminals. So suddenly, these people you've never even heard of.
Part of the reason is that there's no consequence. The media doesn't report on it enough. Body slamming a journalist should be it. He should be out of politics forever for that.
That's right.
That should be the end game.
Yeah.
It was widely reported, Greg. How do you stop that person? It was widely reported.
For
everybody knows Greg Johnson.
So why are they getting elected? Why are they getting elected? Is it because is the system rigged, or do we have a Republican Party that really owns all these red states, and it's really hard to crack that hold they have?
Well, they think there are a lot of people who like them.
Maybe they do.
I mean, that's the nature of the banana republic. That's the nature of the strongman system. They love it when they see these guys getting away with things. There's a certain segment of the population. I'm sorry, there are fellow Americans. We're going to have to go like little Mormons sending missionaries out door to door to try to talk them out of it. They don't understand. I don't know. It's not, it's the pioneers and I don't know, genetic changes that have happened over time. I mean, there are lots of people in America who are just perfectly fine with our elected officials who've gotten away with breaking the law. It's not just, I've said this before, it's not just the Russians giving us Donald Trump. I've got people right across the river who think he's terrific in Pennsylvania. I can still see some of them still have their banners up there at half mast now, though.
Is part of that they want to defend, the whites' supremacy, if you want. Their goal is to make sure that they stay in power, and maybe that's legitimate in some ways because that's what they are entitled to do. If that's in a democratic country, as long as they don't break the law. But if they want to maintain their grip on power, then they would obviously elect more people that are like these guys because you need them to break the system.
I don't know. I hate to say it, but I think, going all the way back to Nixon and Watergate, there were people willing to who thought that he shouldn't have left, who thought that he was terrific.
Yeah.
That, Roger Stone and G. Gordon Liddy and that whole crowd are doing the people's business.
Mm-hmm.
And those people are still with us, or they're still around. They're not the majority. He lost fair and square because they are not the majority. Our country is not. We are not a country in which those people are the majority, but they are here. They're with us.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So that's.
Greg,
I mean, I think we have to. There's a shift where some of this stuff used to be considered so awful that it wasn't even talked about, and it would do political damage. Not long ago, a lot of this stuff would do political damage. I mean, having an affair would end a career of a politician like Gary Hart, right? Mm-hmm. Trump, I mean, what is it? 4 dozen women are accusing him of rape. Like, it's insane. And we don't even talk about that most of the time because there's so much other criminality.
If you talk to Republicans, they'll say, well, it all started with Bill Clinton, right? And their kids had to grow up and hear the word blowjob on TV or a facsimile thereof.
But in some ways, it doesn't really matter if they're having an affair. Like, do you want that impacting our daily politics? And to me, that is a bit irrelevant whether they're having an affair or not. Like, that shouldn't. If they're a good politician and they're serving their community, that's what really matters. I mean, we don't want to be judging people's, personal
I don't care
foibles.
about people's personal lives. I'm just saying it used to be not long ago.
Yeah.
That would be enough.
Behavior, outside of the norm would be enough to make everybody say, whoa, wait a minute, we can't have this.
Now behavior out of the norm may actually accelerate your career because the people in power that are trying to elevate these people, they want the compromise. That's how Lindsey Graham stays there, I'm sure. You have such a hold over him that they keep him in power because why not? He'll do whatever you want.
But don't you think that we're so siloed off with misinformation that people don't believe that any of this is going on? They think it's invented. Mm-hmm. We are living in, we have how many decades have you had Rush Limbaugh and his ilk, spewing right-wing, racist, misogynistic shit into the ears of Americans? All of these broadcast companies are owned by people who think that it's a pretty good idea to have these men out there filling people's brains with this stuff. And that was before the internet came along and siloed people off even further, so that now they think the Q is out there dropping intelligence clues. So you've siloed off. You no longer have an agreed upon reality. And that's perfect for the strong man. That's perfect for the dictator. That's what they want. It's already set up. So people, our fellow Americans there are a lot of people who, 70 million people voted for Trump.
Yeah, last Monday.
They actually think that the election was stolen. Mm-hmm. So millions, tens of millions of people believe that. And so those people who signed on, all those criminals that Greg just listed off, their constituents agree with that.
And when Fox News jumps to the reality and says that, maybe Trump isn't the president, the viewers apparently turned to Newsmax last Monday. Newsmax, which is this, God knows what it is. It's not a news station. You wouldn't call it that. But it beat Fox News in prime time, basically because they're still saying that the election's still being contested. I mean, it's a horrible network, and it seems to be, the new Trump mouthpiece. But to your point, Nina, the multiplication of these silos that are just dividing us up and dividing us up and dividing us up into whatever reality whomever makes those decisions in those networks decides they want to have in any given day. And people seem to follow like lemmings.
It shouldn't be called Newsmax. It should be called New Smacks because there's nothing newsy about it. I think that's why they smushed it together. They can when they eventually get sued, they can say it's performance art. There was this famously in New York City in the 90s. There was a place called Billy's Topless, which was a strip club. And when Giuliani went to shut down the gentlemen's establishments in the city, they were forced to not be topless anymore. So they just moved the S over on the sign and it became Billy Stopless, which is very funny.
I'm going to call it Newsmax from now on. I mean, it's a better name. Yeah, it's much better.
Yeah.
That and OA. Who pays for these things? Who pays for AONN, whatever it's called, and Newsmax? Who pays for these networks? They're not cheap to start. You know, it's millions and millions of dollars. And I don't think it necessarily comes from.
He's
sorry,
Chris Ruddy is Newsmax, isn't
right?
he?
I think so.
He's one of Trump's cronies down in Palm Beach, and
how do they make money?
And then I don't know. I don't know. That's a good question.
AONN, I feel like, is a front for some intelligence organization around the world. It just basically feeds narratives into our daily lives.